Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we're going to be talking about awakening gems and your signature stones, just because it is extremely important that people don't waste them, especially if you're kind of newer player to the game, especially if you're trying to catch up, especially if you're not buying every signature stone offer. Then you must be extremely wise in distributing your signature stones. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about several different kinds of champions. We're going to be taking a look at kind of like the top champions, obviously the champions people want to awaken, but there is several kind of distinctive differences in between these champions. So first type of champions that we're going to be talking about are the champions that you want awakened, but you do not have to invest any, if all, signature stones in them. For instance, let's talk about Gwenpool being one of them. Gwenpool's signature level does not really matter. What matters is the ability that she reduce her opponent's defensive ability accuracy based on her current combo count. That ability in her signature level, a signature, is not affected by her signature level. So it means so long as Gwenpool is at least signature 1, she is gonna be having access to this whole new set of utility. Now, adding more signature stones to her will let her take less damage from special attacks per hit. However, it pretty much always is substantial damage anyways, and while yes, it is somewhat nice to take less damage from potentially KO'd in special attack, but many special attacks are multi-hit anyways, and the base point is, the most important bit is that you survive, and that is accomplished at signature 1. So Gwenpool is definitely a good example for a champion that really does benefit from being awakened, but does not benefit all that too much from a high signature level. And the same example would be about where's my tech champ? Where are my tech champions? Let's say my Sentinel. Where's my 5-star Sentinel? Sentinel is another champion that signature ability has 2 effects. And the first and foremost one is when the target activates special attack and it matches the previously activated special attack, Sentinel gains 20 analysis charges. That is the main thing you want from his signature ability, and that is not affected by his signature level, just the fact that it is there, that it is unlocked at least at signature 1. So Sentinel is another perfect example why he would be good at signature 1. Now, adding more signature stones to him, saying that Sentinel abilities that cause Sentinel to lose power are 0.8% less effective per analysis charge, and basically so what? It will help you on defense. Offensively, 1 in 1,000 chance it's gonna help you, I guess. And same on defense, not really. Nobody really brings power drainers against Sentinel, so it's not really that relevant. The most important thing is that you can gain analysis charges quicker. That makes Sentinel a completely different champion. And there is a bunch of champions like that. Nick Fury, for instance, and yeah, as I said, a bunch of others. For Corvus Glaive is another perfect example. Needs to be awakened, does not need to be high sig, and so on and so forth. So that is like the first type of champions. That is the type of champions you want to invest in, kind of like your duplicate awakening gems in, your spare awakening gems, because there is another whole group of champions that benefit from their awakened ability based on signature level. And a perfect example from that would be Namor. Right, Namor is one of those champions where he hides all of his utility, every single bit of it, in his signature ability. And to be reliable, to be 100% reliable, he needs to be max signature. So Namor takes 100% reduced damage from all sources while attacking his opponent. When Namor ends an attack and damage prevented by hydrokinetic armor is captured and sent back to the opponent as energy damage. So you want it to be 100% because you want it to be reliable. Otherwise, you never know when it could fail. You're going to take excess damage and your whole game plan pretty much kind of changes or can go out of the window. And this is a perfect example of a champion that you want to use an awakening gem on, but only if you can max sig him in very near future. So quite often when you're debating who should you awaken, or maybe possibly when you have 2 mutant awakening gems, you might want to hold up and wait on Namor till you are able to actually max sig him out, and meanwhile invest your other awakening gem in some champion that does not need to be high signature level whatsoever. For instance, Archangel. Archangel, on the other hand, is a champion that does benefit from somewhat medium signature level, but the main bit is that he's awakened at least to 1 point, and he retains vast majority of his utility at signature level 1. So there are several different kind of type of champions that need their awakening abilities, and then they base their awakened abilities whether they need the signature level high enough or not. Then there's also another whole set of champions that gain absolutely no more utility with their signature abilities, but just some extra attack. And then again, you need to kind of evaluate how you are using these champions, and you need to distribute your awakening gems kind of fairly cleverly, because quite often you're going to have multiple awakening gems of the same class, but not enough sig stones to max these champions out. And in my opinion, and I know I'm going to get a lot of stick for this in comment section, but if you're trying to catch up and progress throughout the game, especially if you are a fairly casual player and you do not spend a lot of money on offers and signature stone offers, you can notice that your signature stones come fairly scarce. And what is the best way to distribute them? Unfortunately, I do personally believe that if you are trying to achieve more stuff in the game, as an up and coming player, you have to focus on prestige champions, because higher prestige will mean you as an individual will have ability to get in better alliance, or if you're working towards the same goal in your current alliance, you will be getting better alliance quest rewards, and that will help progress your account even quicker. The best way to kind of approach this thought process and approach the idea of perhaps making not so favorable rank up choices at times in the name of prestige would be kind of simple. You can rank whoever you want today, but then the next champion you will be able to rank up only in a month, let's say. Or you can rank up somebody you might not want to rank up too much, or somebody that you would definitely have other preferences. But then if you do that, and if your alliance works together for prestige, you might be able to get to your next rank up in 2 weeks instead of a month. And then, let's say, over a course of 2 months, you will have ranked, let's say, 2 prestige champions and 2 champions that you enjoy playing with, versus just the 2 champions that you enjoy playing with. So here is the difference. You're possibly going to get to 4, 5, 6 rank ups at the same time. It would take you to get 2 or 3 if you completely ignore prestige and play casually. Obviously, I'm not trying to have a knock on any casual player. Obviously, do as you want, because if you're not in a competitive mindset to push IQ, to play harder maps of IQ, you might as well just rank the champions you enjoy with, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. What I'm talking to is, if you as a player are trying to progress kind of further up in the game, push the ranks of IQ, push your roster further, have more champions ranked up, then you need to make these sacrificial decisions. Now, another thing is that quite a few of high prestige champions are in fact good champions these days. Like if you take the roster, for instance, on my account, obviously not everybody is gonna enjoy ranking up Goldpool, Phoenix, or Thor Ragnarok. However, Captain Marvel movie is still a top 10 prestige champion. She's in my top 5 prestige list, and she's a fantastic champion many people enjoy, and one of the top cosmic champions. Same with Namor. Namor is a fantastic option for prestige and also extremely versatile and great champion. Now, what does that mean to you as a player? That perhaps in certain situations you will have to pick Namor over, let's say, Omega Red, who is also a fantastic champion, also one of the best mutant champions. However, his prestige is low. So just with me saying you kind of have to keep prestige in consideration if you want to progress in ranks, does not automatically mean you're going to have to rank a bad champion. It just means there will be certain good or great champions you might have to put on back burner for a while. But then again, it does not mean you will never have resources to rank them up later in the future. Because remember, once you have done working in prestige, and prestige is only 5 champions. Now, TFIBs are coming more and more readily available, and the rate you can rank these champions up is constantly increasing. But by ranking up these 5 prestige champions, you will just accelerate your acquired TFIBs even more, and you'll get more rank ups done. So that is the important point. So back to the signature stones. Why and how you should use your signature stones. Once again, you, in my opinion, do need to save vast majority of them, each class, at least once to 200, and reserve them for prestige champions. So that means don't use them on a champions that you like. For instance, I would never use signature stones on my Omega Red or Ghost or Magic, so on and so forth, if I wouldn't have my prestige order, and I didn't. First things that I did is I collected and saved all my signature stones of every class, even if I didn't have any champions rank at that point, because I knew at some point I'm going to rank up a Mystic or a Mutant champion that is going to be of high prestige and I'm going to need them. And first time I did that was like ages ago when I ranked up Sabertooth. I ranked up Sabertooth for Alliance War defense and for prestige because he was like my first champion, about 10.5k prestige. That's who I went with, and I immediately had 206 stones for him. Once I had done that, I could focus on other champions like Omega Red and slowly or surely but save them up, and then when I did rank him up, he also had a max signature level. So that is kind of like my first advice. Don't waste them scarcely. Don't give them to a champion just kind of because or just because they would be a bit better. First set of your 5-star signature stones, ever since you start playing this game, always save them as hard as you can and reserve them for your prestige rank up, in my opinion. And then once you have had a prestige champion of that class, you're basically more or less free to do what you like with them. And that is kind of idea that I think people should have installed in their minds if they want to kind of like climb up the ladder in the game. That first you have to do the things you have to do in order to be able to do the things that you want to do. Obviously it's game, we all have our favorite champions. I like, I don't know, Hyperion, for instance. I could give all my 6 stones to Hyperion, but then again, A, he doesn't even particularly need them that much because his signature level scales horribly, and B, I'd be stuck with a low signature level Cosmic champion. And another good example is I ranked up my Medusa as one of my first 5 champions at Sig 80, I think, and that's it. I didn't give her any more signature stones just because she was low signature level. I knew that I'm going to use those 6 stones later on somebody who needs them more, and I did. I ranked up Corvus a couple months later, and I had a bunch of 6 stones, basically max him out almost immediately. So you guys see where I'm kind of coming from. I'm not saying you always have to rank or prioritize the prestige champions, but when it comes to signature stones, definitely save them up for your prestige champion rank up. And for most part, once again, so we're going to go over, there are 2 different types of champions that you can use your awakening gems on. There are champions that need to be max signature level, or ideally should be max signature level in order to perform, and there are champions who are extremely good at performing at like Sig level 1 and hardly lose anything from not having extra signature stones. So whenever you have like decisions to make how to use your awakening gems, and especially if you have multiple awakening gems, keep that in mind. Because if you have 2 mutant awakening gems and let's say 200 6 stones, and you have several champions you could potentially rank, don't go 100 and 100 for instance. Pick the one champion that does not need high signature level, and pick another champion that needs to be maxed. And if you're a new player, ideally you will pick a champion that is high prestige, and that will also kind of sort out your prestige problem. And yeah, the same thing comes with signature stones. Don't add them willy-nilly on random champions. Don't take them to some random marks of 100 or 2 or 140 or whatever. No, you need to distinguish in between champions that will be fine at whatever signature level they are, and then the champions that need max signature level. To kind of reiterate it on my own account, for instance, not all my maxed out 5 stars are max sig, and I'm never going to try actually max them out. For instance, Quake, she's not in my prestige list. She does not particularly benefit from higher 6 stones, so she's at Sig 82. That's it. I'm not gonna, I'd actually, well, I clearly gave her like a couple 6 stones, but it was because they were expiring, and I believe that was only 2 6 stones, and the rest of the 80 is when I duped her naturally. Medusa as well, she's not in my prestige list. She kind of benefits from higher sig, but it's not as essential. Sig 140, I'm never going to give her any 6 stones. I'm just saving them up for the next champion that will either require the Sig 200 to be at utmost useful, or is going to help me with my prestige. Hyperion, never gave him any 6 stones because his signature stone scales badly and he's a low prestige champion. Nick Fury, took him to rank 5 at Sig 20 where he has remained since. Now on the contrast, Namor, as soon as I got Namor, I awakened him, took him to Sig 200, he helps my prestige, he needs the max Sig ability. And Omega Red does not help my prestige, I had some 6 stones spare, took him to 200, because he needs Sig 200 to perform best. And there are these differences which I kind of like want to stress again and again, that signature stones, even though they're becoming more and more common, there's never enough. There will never be enough to max out every champion you potentially like. So use them wisely, use them with a set purpose and goal in your mind, whether it is to make your good champion to perform as best as he possibly can, or whether it is to serve your prestige purpose. Occasionally these might kind of like flow together, but never ever use them on kind of like Medicore prestige champ that you just kind of like to take him up a bunch or something like that. Signature stones need to be used wisely in this game if you want to move on, because whenever you can complain about your prestige, and if you don't rank for prestige, then you only have yourself to blame. Whenever you can complain about not having enough 6 stones to max somebody out, you're probably only gonna have yourself to blame when you kind of look back and check the way how you have used your signature stones in the past. Because let's face it, if you are hoping to be somewhat close to an endgame player, let's say if you have completed the variants, explored Labyrinth, played Uncollecteds for a while, so on and so forth, statistically you will have gotten at least, let's say, 1200 5-star signature stone crystals or generic signature stones, and that means that you should statistically have enough signature stones to take at least one champion of each class to Sig 200 without question, right? And if somebody has squandered them and wasted them, and then saying that it's not fair because I don't have enough 6 stones, then unfortunately likelihood is because you have made some bad decisions. And I have as well. I have used some of my signature stones not so wisely in the past, but then again I have bought a fair bunch of signature stone offers to kind of compensate for it. But that's the point. You need to also be accountable for your own actions. You need to think twice before you use a single signature stone and how you distribute them. And my biggest advice there is think twice over adding any signature stone to any champion, and always have a clear set goal in your mind and try your best to justify it in your head before you do it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya!